We often tell ourselves a rather comfortable, even romantic story about where great ideas come from, don't we?
Hmm.
It's that classic eureka moment. The lone genius toiling away in isolation, then suddenly lightning strikes and a world-changing idea is born. It's a powerful myth, but as we're about to discover, the truth about where truly good ideas originate is far more surprising, far more interconnected, and honestly, a lot more vibrant and collaborative than that solitary image.
Precisely. Our mission with this deep dive is to unpack the very natural history of innovation. We're going to explore the recurring patterns that emerge across incredibly diverse fields, from the microscopic world of biology, like how life innovates, all the way up to the sprawling complexity of human cities and our digital networks.
Okay.
What's truly fascinating is how these fundamental patterns reappear in recognizable forms, exhibiting what you might call a fractal nature of creativity. Whether you're zooming in on molecules or zooming out to global information systems, the underlying principles of how good ideas emerge remain remarkably consistent.
Okay, let's unpack this. If it's not just about that individual flash of brilliance, then how do environments, whether natural or human-made, actually foster the kind of connections that lead to those breakthrough ideas? What's the secret sauce?
It often comes down to what we call liquid networks. These are environments that are dense, highly connected, and allow for a rich, almost fluid flow of information and diverse hunches.
Liquid networks, okay.
Think about nature's own liquid networks. Charles Darwin, for instance, famously observed what's now known as Darwin's paradox when he first encountered coral reefs. He was sailing through nutrient-poor ocean waters, yet these reefs were absolutely teeming with an epic diversity of life, rivaling even rainforests.
Wow.
He called them a swarming oasis in the middle of a desert.
That's incredible. So this vibrant, thriving ecosystem in the middle of what's essentially a desert for life, what's the takeaway there?
Well, the takeaway is profound. Coral reefs make up a mere 1/10% of the Earth's surface, yet they host roughly a quarter of all known marine species.
A quarter, from 0.1%.
Exactly. They're a powerful natural example of an innovative ecosystem built by tiny organisms that, through their collective activity and interconnectedness, create a structure that fosters immense biodiversity. It's a testament to the power of density and connection.
And how does that incredible natural phenomenon connect to us, to human environments, and how we generate ideas?
Well, human cities are a perfect analog for these natural liquid networks. Consider the work of Max Kleiber, a brilliant agricultural scientist. He discovered what he called negative quarter power scaling when studying metabolic rates in organisms.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Think of it this way. A tiny hummingbird's heart races. Its life is lived at warp speed. A giant whale moves slowly, deliberately. Kleiber found this pattern holds true across almost all life. Geiger generally means slower, energetically speaking. An elephant is energetically just the scaled-up mouse.
Right, okay.
Cities actually follow the same pattern for things like energy consumption and transportation. The amount of road surface area or electrical cable scales in a similar sublinear way.
But here's where it takes an intriguing turn, right? Because when it comes to ideas, cities completely break that pattern.
They absolutely do. Instead of slowing down their idea generation as they get bigger, cities actually generate ideas at a faster clip.
Faster, so more people, faster ideas.
Faster per person, yeah. This is superlinear scaling.
Yeah.
The real insight here is that when it comes to ideas, more people don't just mean more ideas, they mean disproportionately more ideas.
Much more.
The average resident of a metropolis with 5 million people is almost 3 times more creative than someone from a town of just 100,000.
3 times.
As the urban theorist Jane Jacobs famously said, great cities are not like towns, only larger. This isn't just about more people. It's about what the source material calls information spillover.
So information spillover, can you paint a clearer picture of what that actually means in practice? Like, how does it happen?
Information spillover means that even if you're working on a project behind closed doors, the sheer density of diverse people and ideas in a city leads to unexpected collisions. It's like ideas escaping their containers and fertilizing new ground. A casual conversation at a coffee shop, maybe a half-finished diagram on a whiteboard in an open-plan office, even just the buzz of different industries interacting in close proximity, these all spark connections in your mind, allowing ideas to flow and combine in new ways, often without any deliberate effort to share.
That makes so much sense. It's about making those accidental connections possible. What happens when those networks aren't liquid, when they actively prevent that kind of spillover?
You get what the source material calls the cost of closed networks. Take the FBI before 9/11. Their automated case support system had a stovepipe mentality. It was, unfortunately, a design principle, not a bug.
A design principle, to keep things separate.
Yes, that information was carefully shielded and compartmentalized between different units. This meant critical hunches, like the Phoenix memo about flight schools and radical fundamentalists, literally couldn't connect with the Minneapolis office's investigation into Zacarias Moussaoui.
Oh, wow.
Even when the crucial information existed within the system, the lack of permeable boundaries and connections meant the insights couldn't merge. The system was quite literally designed to kill hunches.
That's a stark example of a system actively preventing innovation and connection, with devastating real-world consequences. So if we know this, how do we cultivate openness in organizations? How do we build those liquid networks intentionally?
Companies that embrace liquid networks actively design for them. Google famously instituted 20% time, allowing employees to dedicate a fifth of their work week to passion projects outside their core duties.
Right, I've heard of that.
They also fostered hunch databases, internal email lists, where employees could suggest new features or products, and then the entire company could weigh in and even vote on them. Salesforce.com has a popular customer-facing idea exchange, where users suggest features, allowing the group to complete the hunch.
Ah, so leveraging the collective.
Exactly. And Microsoft even designed its famous Building 99 with mixer stations instead of traditional kitchenettes. These weren't just spots for coffee breaks. They were deliberate architectural choices to facilitate unplanned idea sharing and foster what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called flow.
Flow, yeah.
That feeling of being carried along a stream, tossed in surprising ways by the eddies and whirls of moving water, making accidental connections.
So it's not about forcing ideas or brainstorming sessions, but creating the right environment for ideas to flow and collide organically. That's a powerful shift in perspective. But what does this all mean for how we actively cultivate good ideas, even when they seem to come from completely out of left field, seemingly without any obvious connection at all?
This is where we talk about embracing the unexpected, or serendipity. Horace Walpole, who coined the term, defined it as always making discoveries, by accident and sagacity, of things they were not in quest of.
Accident and sagacity. So lucky, but also smart about it.
Exactly. It's about setting out for one destination and accidentally stumbling upon something far more interesting along the way.
Like those moments when you're just not thinking about a problem and the solution suddenly hits you, often when you're doing something mundane. I know I've had my best ideas right after stepping out of the shower. It's like my brain finally unloads all the clutter.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Henri Poincaré, the famous French mathematician, often had his breakthroughs not at his desk, but while walking or boarding a bus. He described his partial ideas, or atoms, as becoming untethered and combining in new ways during these periods of apparent rest and unconscious work.
Untethered atoms. I like that image.
The original eureka moment, Archimedes in the bathtub, is another classic example of this disengagement leading to insight. These moments remove you from task-based focus and allow your mind to enter a more associative, unconstrained state.
And sometimes those insights come from an even deeper, more subconscious place, like dreams. Is that right?
Absolutely. The role of dreams in creative breakthroughs is remarkable. Otto Loewy's famous frog heart experiment idea, which proved the chemical transmission of nerve impulses, came to him in 2 dreams.
2 dreams on the same topic.
Yes, even though he'd been musing on the concept for 17 years.
Yeah.
Dmitri Mendeleev famously conceived the periodic table in a dream.
Wow. The whole table.
Apparently, the structure came to him. And Friedrich August Kekulé von Stradonitz discovered the benzene ring structure after a daydream vision of the Ouroboros serpent, a tail-swallowing snake from mythology.
That's wild.
Dreams are essentially the mind's primordial soup, a chaotic yet profoundly productive way of exploring what's called the adjacent possible, making new combinations of neurons and ideas that might escape waking consciousness.
So a bit of chaos can actually be a good thing. Does that extend to even noise or error? It seems counterintuitive.
It truly is counterintuitive, but yes, noise and error can be incredibly generative. Take Ulrich Wagner's experiment, which showed that sleeping on the problem more than doubled subjects' ability to discover a hidden mathematical rule in a tedious task.
Doubled it, just from sleeping.
Yeah, the mental recombinations that occur during sleep, the very disorganization of the mind, help them detect patterns they missed while awake. It speaks to the brain's benefit from a period of disorganization.
And this isn't just about human brains, is it? It's fundamental to life itself. If error is so crucial to evolution, how do we as individuals or organizations learn to not just tolerate, but actively leverage it without falling apart?
That's a critical question. In nature, error isn't just tolerated. It's essential for progress. DNA mutations, though often harmful, provide the constant source of new possibilities for natural selection. As the source material puts it, error is what made humans possible in the first place. Our cells are designed to leave the door for mutation ever so slightly open, balancing too much stability with the trickle of change needed for innovation.
So, not wide open, but slightly ajar.
Precisely. This is why a common startup mantra is fail faster. It's not that mistakes are the goal, but they are an inevitable step on the path to true innovation. It's about creating systems where you can learn from those errors quickly. Benjamin Franklin captured this perfectly. Error is endlessly diversified.
Endlessly diversified. I like that. Okay, here's where it gets truly fascinating for me. We've talked about creating interconnected networks and embracing the surprising role of chance and even error. Now let's explore the idea of borrowing and building, sometimes in truly unexpected ways. What's the concept of exaptation?
Exaptation is when a trait or a technology developed for one purpose is co-opted for a completely new, often unanticipated use. It's about taking spare parts, or even entire systems, and creatively repurposing them into a new function. It's truly ingenious.
Will you give us a classic historical example of that?
One of the best is Johannes Gutenberg. He wasn't a printer by trade, he was a goldsmith. But he adapted the familiar screw press, which had been used for centuries, to press grapes for wine and olives for oil.
Right, for making drinks and food.
Exactly. He adapted that to create the printing press. He famously took a machine designed to get people drunk and turned it into an engine for mass communication.
Ha! That's a great way to put it. That's exaptation in action.
A technology from one field applied to a completely different revolutionary problem.
And we saw this ingenuity play out in the early days of electronics too, right? With Lee de Forest's Audion.
Precisely. De Forest invented the Audion, or vacuum tube, primarily for amplifying electromagnetic signals, boosting radio waves, for instance. He even admitted, I didn't know why it worked, it just did.
He didn't know why.
Nope. But this invention was later exapted for an entirely different, incredibly transformative function as an electronic switch. This allowed for the high-speed logic gates of the first digital computers, like the mammoth ENIAC.
ENIAC, right.
Which, ironically, helped develop the hydrogen bomb. An amplification device repurposed to process information for complex calculations. It completely changed the trajectory of technology.
It's like nature's ingenuity with recycling, but on a grand human scale. What are some modern examples of this kind of unexpected recycling?
It is. Think about abandoned subway cars. The Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control has been sinking them off the coast to create artificial reefs.
Sinking subway cars?
Right.
Really?
Providing shelter and breeding grounds for marine life. This has led to an incredible 400% increase in marine biomass. The subway cars, no longer needed for urban transportation, become ecosystem engineers.
That's amazing repurposing.
And in a beautiful full circle, coral reefs themselves are plankton builders, masters of recycling. The coral and algae have a symbiotic relationship, using each other's waste products, and sponges living in the coral cavities also expel nutrients that the coral can then use. They truly have a natural appetite for trash, waste, and abandoned goods, transforming them into new life.
So we're seeing this in nature, in historical inventions, and certainly in modern technology. How does this apply to digital platforms and the acceleration of innovation today?
New innovations today are often built on stacked platforms. Take YouTube. It was created by 3 guys in just 6 months.
6 months? That's incredibly fast.
Incredibly fast. But it wasn't built from scratch. It leveraged existing platforms, the web itself, Adobe Flash for video playback, and JavaScript. This ability to build on mature existing platforms explains why YouTube took 6 months to scale, while something like HDTV took 20 years to reach mass adoption.
Right, the groundwork was already there.
Exactly. The traditional 10-10 rule for tech 10 years to build, 10 to find an audience, is often superseded by the power of open, stacked platforms.
And some companies even flip the script, building the platform before the product to encourage that kind of collaborative innovation.
Twitter is a fantastic example. They built their API, their application programming interface first, essentially exposing all their data and functionality to outside developers.
API first. That seems backwards.
It does, but only then did they build Twitter.com on top of it. This wasn't about proprietary advantage. It was about fostering cooperative advantage. It allowed good ideas to come from anywhere because external developers could build on their platform in ways they never imagined.
Ah, I see. So harness the power of the crowd.
Precisely. This is also the idea behind government as a platform, opening up public data for citizens to innovate, like with the numerous DC apps for tracking government spending or real-time parking availability. It allows a truly diverse set of minds to contribute.
It really highlights how collaboration across different areas, often unexpected ones, can spark new ideas. So it's not just about what you know, but who you're connected to and how those connections bridge diverse areas of knowledge.
Exactly. Innovation is profoundly fostered by what sociologists call weak ties across different idea spaces. These are connections to people or fields outside your immediate tightly knit group.
Weak ties, like acquaintances rather than close friends.
Kind of, yeah. Or just connections to different domains. This also relates to slow multitasking, where you have diverse projects simmering in the background, allowing cross-pollination. Consider John Snow, who famously solved the cholera outbreak in London.
Right, the water pump handle.
He was a master of slow multitasking. His prior work with anesthesia had given him insights into how gases diffuse, which helped him debunk the prevailing miasma theory that cholera was airborne. His medical practice helped him understand it was ingested. He had to think like both a molecular chemist and a physician to make his breakthrough.
Combining different fields.
Yes, and even his mechanical tinkering with chloroform inhalers, an apparently unrelated project, provided the mental tools for understanding how something invisible could spread disease. It's a testament to how chance truly favors the connected mind.
What a journey this deep dive has been. From the tiny organisms building coral reefs to the sprawling networks of human cities and the serendipitous connections within our own minds, this really shows us that innovation isn't just about isolated genius. It's about creating environments that foster connection, that embrace serendipity and even error, and that enable the repurposing of ideas and tools in truly unexpected ways. It's about the wonder and possibility that arise when things are allowed to mingle and breed, rather than being strictly controlled.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source material makes a powerful point. Market-based competition has no monopoly on innovation. Many of the most profound breakthroughs come from open environments where ideas flow in unregulated channels, what's sometimes called the fourth quadrant of innovation.
The fourth quadrant. Interesting.
As Thomas Jefferson so eloquently put it, ideas are like fire or air, that ideas should freely spread from one to another over the globe, for the moral and mutual instruction of man and improvement of his condition seems to have been peculiarly and benevolently designed by nature when she made them, like fire, expansible over all space, without lessening their density in any point, and like the air in which we breathe, move.
That's a beautiful thought and a powerful one. It reminds us that some of the most profound drivers of progress aren't about strict control, but about freedom, flow, and connection.
So as you navigate your day-to-day, perhaps you can start noticing the liquid networks around you. What useful errors might you embrace in your own work or creative pursuits? Or what existing platforms, whether they're a physical tool or a digital system, can you leverage and repurpose to spark your next big idea?